What is up, all you beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Brittany. My sister, Jessie Grace Moore, went missing from Wenatchee, Washington on June 20th of 2016 when she was only 23 years old. The day Jessie went missing, a video was taken of her at Centennial Park where her head was shaved. To this day, we do not know if Jessie did this to herself or if someone did this to her. She is dressed in clothes she would not normally wear, as you can see in this picture. Also, none of her belongings are with her, which was out of character for Jessie. After she is seen on camera at the park, she begins walking southbound on Wenatchee Avenue, and it's as if she vanished. She has not accessed her bank account or used her phone since June 20th. Jessie is listed as an endangered missing person, and my family and I believe 100% that Jessie was met with foul play. An official suspect has never been named in her disappearance, but her case remains open to this day. And from now on, I will leave a direct line to the detective working her case down below. Please call him with any tips you may have. Nothing is too small. More videos and information on Jessie's life and disappearance are always linked in the description box if you would like to learn more. But everything I do on this channel is in honor of Jessie and spreading awareness about her disappearance as well as other missing persons cases. If that interests you, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up because it's a free way that you can help the missing out. I love you so much, Jessie Grace, and this is for you. Happy Valentine's Day to you, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm bringing you another case from the Pacific Northwest, and that is the disappearance of Rebecca West as well as the murder of Nikki Wood. I searched far and wide all over the internet for any information about these cases, and unfortunately, there was a minuscule amount. There's not even one YouTube video or one podcast about Nikki and Rebecca. As you guys already know, this whole channel is about spreading awareness about lesser known cases and cases that just don't get enough coverage. So even with a limited amount of information, that's what we're gonna do here today. Becky, 12, and Nikki, 11, were classmates together at Holmes Elementary in Spokane. Rebecca Elizabeth West, who went by Becky, was born to her parents Naomi and Michael on September 17th of 1979. So she was a little Virgo baby, and there's not a lot on Becky's upbringing, but what we do know is that her parents would eventually divorce and that she was one of 6 siblings, so she had a big family. Becky was a beautiful little girl, as you can tell by her photo. She has the sweetest smile and just looks so innocent. She is described as being a shy child, but once you got to know her, she just radiated joy. Becky was a girl's girl, and she loved to hang out with her girlfriend, Ariel. Ariel Wood, who went by her middle name Nikki, was born to parents Daniel and Ariel, who she was obviously named after. Nikki was born on March 19th in 1980. And unfortunately, there is even less information out there about Nikki, and this is gonna make you guys so sad. But when she was murdered, her parents couldn't afford to have her tombstone engraved. And when you go to findagrave.com, it is still blank. I don't know if they were ever able to afford to have it engraved. But if you wish to pay this baby girl some respects, you can go to findagrave.com where you can leave some virtual flowers, which I thought was really special. Only descriptor I could find of Nikki is that she was a loving child and is deeply, deeply missed by her family and all those that loved her. Our story takes place on October 21st, 1991, which fell on a Monday. And I'm sure these girls were settling into the school year, excited for Halloween as it was only 10 days away. They were probably anticipating dressing up and going trick-or-treating, probably with one another as they were best friends. But this day was a normal day for Becky and Nikki, and after school, the two went to Nikki's house to hang out and just do what 6th grade girls do. They asked Nikki's mom Ariel for some money so that they could go and get some snacks at a local gas station that was located on West Boone Ave in the West Gardner neighborhood. And I'm sure Ariel gave them the line that all of us have heard a million times and now say to the children in our lives. And it goes a little something like this: there and straight back, and do not talk to strangers. Now, the girls set out on foot, but when they failed to return within the hour, Ariel grew increasingly concerned, and both girls were reported as missing pretty soon after this. A search ensued, and 2 hours later, a somber discovery was made. Nikki was found deceased in the 7-mile area of the Riverside State Park in Spokane. Now this is about a 15-minute drive from the gas station. Nikki's body was found underneath a pile of pine needles that had been set on fire with a flammable liquid. Nikki's body was so badly charred that she could not be identified. 2 days later, it was confirmed to be Nikki due to her dental records. Her cause of death was ruled as asphyxiation. Nikki was strangled before she was set on fire. But there was no trace of Becky anywhere. Absolutely nothing. No shoe, no piece of clothing, no evidence that she had been there. Finding Becky became top priority to investigators at this point, and there was an urgency to find her. As many of you know, when a child is abducted, there is a 76% chance that they will be killed within the first 3 hours. And I want to mention that Becky's family had so much hope that she was still alive, and they would not even consider the alternative for 1 minute. They just wanted to find Becky before it was too late. The search continued with about 100 volunteers coming together to comb the area. There was ground and air search and just a lot of manpower behind this, you guys. Bloodhounds were also brought in, and they did alert to a couple of different scents, but we are going to come back to that in a minute. A couple eyewitnesses came forward after news broke about Becky's disappearance and Nikki's death. These witnesses claimed to have seen the girls get into a car with a man that matched the description of Michael Tarbert. And right away, investigators were able to find a connection between him and the girls. And again, as many of you know, when children are abducted, it is usually by someone that they know. And come to find out, Michael had been staying at the Woods' home because he had a warrant for his arrest and he was evading the police. And I have no idea if the Woods family knew what his reasoning was for wanting to crash at their place. I would assume if they knew what he was wanted for, they wouldn't let him stay there. But Michael had warrants out for rape and theft, so apparently this POS had offered his landlady a ride to a bar, but instead drove her out to a secluded area in Spokane where he proceeded to assault her. And then after that, he took $400 out of her wallet. So a real stand-up guy there. Also, Michael was a known drug addict as well as an alcoholic. According to Ariel, she had run to the store on the 21st to get Michael a beer. And when she arrived back home, that is when the girls asked for some money and if they could go to the gas station. Ariel claims that soon after the girls left, Michael left as well. We can only assume he went to follow the girls to the gas station. And once they came out, he offered them a ride. Why wouldn't they get in the car with him? Nikki's mom trusted him enough to let him stay at their house, and they probably didn't want to walk the rest of the way. And I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing if I was in their position. So Michael was fitting the bill to investigators. He was a violent criminal. He abused substances, and there was more than one eyewitness who saw the girls getting into the car with him. And also, he had a connection to the girls, which is very important. The day after the kidnappings took place, so on October 22nd, Michael was named as an official suspect, and his picture was circulated on the news. The mother of 9-year-old Latrice Hopkins phoned the tip line to tell them that Latrice had been harassed by a man fitting Michael's description. Latrice was a 3rd grader at Holmes Elementary and would often walk to the same gas station when school got out at 3 o'clock. On October 16th, Latrice claimed a man was sitting in his car just watching her after she walked out of the store. She got spooked, obviously, and ran all the way home, and this man tailed her the entire way. Latrice busted through her front door, and she was obviously distraught and out of breath, and told her mom right away about what had happened. The following day, on the 17th, the same thing happened again. She walked to the gas station after school, and when she came out of the store, the man was in a different car, but asked her to get in this time. And she booked it out of there, and I don't believe he followed her. Latrice's mother didn't call police and report it, and she also did not report it to Holmes Elementary because she figured that no one would care unless it was happening to a bunch of kids. Which, man, you can't help but think, what if those had been reported? Maybe something would have been done. If a child experiences something like that, call the police, call the school right away. But I already know you guys would do that. In our true crime brains, we're thinking this man is a predator who is preying on children. But Michael worked at a manufacturing plant, and his time card said he clocked out at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, which were the 2 days that Latrice claimed these incidents took place. And because of the time discrepancy, investigators really didn't look into this tip. But I'm thinking, school got out at 3, he clocked out at 3:30. There's not a huge gap of time there, and maybe he had gone to the gas station right after he got off, and that's when Latrice saw him. Latrice also said that Michael was in 2 different cars on each occasion, and the description she gave actually matched at least one of Michael's cars. So that is interesting, or it could have been a different man entirely and that this whole thing was a coincidence, but I do not think so. Michael was arrested on his rape and theft charges, and when he was questioned by police, his story kind of began to change, and he said, "Actually, I did pick the girls up from the gas station, but I dropped them off a little before Nikki's house, and when I dropped them off, they were safe and sound." And you're probably rolling your eyes, as I was when I read that, because Michael knew where Nikki lived, and he could have just dropped her off in front of her house if that is what he intended to do. Then everything came to a head when investigators found out that Michael rented a cabin in the woods pretty close to where Nikki's body was found. And this is where the bloodhounds come in. They traced Michael's scent from his cabin to where Nikki was located. Also, they alerted to both girls' scents within his cabin. Blood was found on a pair of Michael's jeans, and years later, with advancements in technology, it is determined that the blood was more than likely from Becky. The defense had a case based on circumstantial evidence, but with everything compiled, it was enough for a conviction. In 1992, when Michael was 28 years old, he was sentenced to 11 years for his assault and theft charges. Then in 1996, 5 years after the girls were kidnapped, he was formally charged with both of their murders. The trial was to take place in 1998, but Michael entered a no contest plea to 2 counts of first-degree manslaughter. Michael said he took the plea because he did not want to get charged with first-degree murder, which would carry a life sentence. But get this, you guys, the latest he will be released from prison is August 20th, 2022, so next summer, which is absolutely terrifying. This man is a predator, and I am not a betting woman, but I would put money on the fact that he killed Nikki and Becky, and will more than likely reoffend if released. Michael has never admitted to killing the girls and maintains his innocence to this day, claiming that he would never hurt anyone, and he still sticks to the story that he dropped them off close to Nikki's house. 2 inmates who were in prison with Michael came forward and said that Michael admitted to murdering the girls, which prison confessions always have to be taken with a grain of salt. Like I mentioned before, Becky's family really held on to the hope that she was still alive, but after some time they have accepted that she is more than likely deceased. Becky's dad, Michael West, would get a small group together once a week to search the surrounding areas in Spokane, but no trace of Becky has ever been found. And doesn't that just blow your mind a little bit? Why wouldn't she be where Nikki was? If Becky was placed at a different location, you would think she would be found by now, as it has been 30 years. Michael West was interviewed by a local news station and was asked what he thought about Michael Tarbert's release date, to which he responded, and I quote, "It's very unacceptable to me. A 55-year-old man is able to go home to his family, and my daughter can't come home to her mother. I'm very surprised." End quote. Michael went on to say Becky's disappearance destroyed his family. Many of them started abusing substances after she went missing in order to cope with the loss of her. The family is still on the mend and have tried to find healing in their own ways, but he said if Tarbert is released, it would be a devastating blow to their family once more. Michael believes that Tarbert should be in confinement for the rest of his days and should not walk the streets of Spokane again, and I agree with him 100%. I want to mention that something positive did come out of this though. When the girls went missing and Nikki was found, this really affected the community, as you can imagine. And they were tired of crime running rampant and wanted to do something to help and stop it. And they decided to form a neighborhood task force where people volunteered to help fight local crime in a legal and safe way, obviously. They even bought a building on West Boone where the task force could work out of. And now, years later, there are dozens of these police substations all around Spokane, which I think is so cool. And I love when people take action when police are lacking or downright failing. And this was a different case for me because more than likely we do know who is responsible for Becky's disappearance. Like I said, I felt compelled to share it with you guys because it's important for Becky and Nikki's stories to be heard and to be told. At the time of her disappearance, Becky was 4'7", 90 pounds, had brown eyes and shoulder-length blonde hair. She would have been wearing a black shirt, black pants, and black shoes. Here is an age-progressed picture of Becky. She would be 41 years old if she was still out there. Michael Tarver owned 2 cars at the time she would go missing, a blue Mercury Zephyr as well as a large brown Chrysler. Both cars had Washington state license plates. He would also drive family members' cars, and the description of those vehicles have not been released. But that is it for me today, you guys. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch my videos. It means so much to me, as well as the families of the missing. I hope you're having a great day, whatever you're doing out in the world, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.